What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Ever since the Wormgod Caress got a rework and the Synthoceps got nerfed, there's been a great debate raging on between Titans on which of these exotics is truly the better choice in PVE content. So today we will attempt to answer this question by taking a deep look into each of these exotics and how they stack up against one another. And while these exotics can fit into any subclass, we are primarily focusing on the synergy that they have with Strand builds with a Banner of War aspect. The Wormgod Caress comes with the Burning Fist's intrinsic trait. On melee, glaive, and finisher final blows, you'll gain stacks of Burning Fists, with a maximum of 5 possible stacks. This is represented through a meter that will pop up on the left of your screen. When Burning Fists is active, you'll gain an increase to the damage of melees, glaives, and other weapons. The more stacks of Burning Fists, the bigger the damage bonus. You'll have to defeat between 3 and 5 enemies to get Burning Fists to its maximum threshold. After 2 seconds of not registering a melee, finisher, or glaive final blow, those stacks of Burning Fists will begin to decay. This decay starts fast, but then slows down significantly once you've dropped down to 3 stacks of Burning Fist. In total, it would take around 30 seconds for the entire Burning Fist meter to completely decay. With 1 stack of Burning Fist, you'll gain a 55% increase to melee damage, but this will max out at a 275% increase when at 5 stacks. Glaive damage goes from 40% with 1 stack up to 200% when at 5, and the damage of any other weapon will start at 20% with 2 stacks, maxing out at 35% with 5. A significant advantage that the Wormgod have over top of the Synthoceps is the damage bonus that it provides to glaives and other weapons. The caveat is that you can only charge up Burning Fists with melee, glaive, and finisher final blows, which could have a negative impact towards your ability to rotate through your entire weapon loadout, because after 2 seconds, those damage bonuses are going to become significantly diminished. This makes it extremely advantageous to run shotguns with 1-2 punch, since both of the melee damage bonuses will stack together. And at the same rate, this also means that shotguns with Trench Barrel will benefit greatly, as Trench Barrel's damage bonus will stack on top of Wormgod's, as long as you have at least 2 stacks of Burning Fist. But between these 2 weapon traits, 1-2 punch has the biggest overall damage potential. Now, the Synthoceps comes with the Biotic Enhancement's intrinsic trait. This increases melee damage by 165%, glaive damage by 100%, and super damage by 50% whenever there's at least 3 enemies nearby. Once triggered, Biotic Enhancements will last for 8 seconds, and it will be continuously re-triggered as long as there's at least 3 enemies around you. These enemies don't have to be right up in your face either. This counts any enemy that's within 14 meters. The Synthoceps no longer provides a bonus to lunge distance, but it does still continue to provide a 35-point bonus to the reload speed and handling of any equipped weapon. And just like the Wormgod, the Synthoceps will pair up wonderfully with any shotgun that has Trench Barrel or 1-2 punch. And both of these exotics make a very compelling case towards running a glaive. So on one hand, we have an exotic that gives a stacking damage bonus, but we have to put a good deal of mental effort into building it up, but more importantly, maintaining it. And on the other hand, we have an exotic that provides a flat damage bonus that's automatically provided, but of course we have the needed enemies within range. So the way that I see it is that these 2 exotics facilitate 2 completely different aggressive playstyles. So let's play out a scenario here. You have the Wormgods equipped, and you roll into a group of enemies with a big champion. To deal the most damage to that champion, you would need to target all the smaller enemies first in order to get your damage bonus to its maximum potential, and then you could target the champion. But if that scenario happened to be a boss fight instead, you would have missed out on valuable boss damage because of having to take time to kill those rank and file enemies first. But in that same scenario, when running Synthoceps, you would have that damage bonus right out of the gate, and instead of having to focus on the smaller enemies first, you could go straight after that champion. One thing to factor into both of these scenarios is the use of Banner of War, because it does require defeating a good amount of enemies with either melee, sword, or finisher final blows. This will add on an extra 40% melee damage, 25% increased glaive damage, and 10% extra sword damage. Banner of War will be extended with additional final blows, otherwise lasting 30 seconds. So no matter which exotic you use, you're going to have to get a few kills before you're at maximum damage output, which in a lot of ways does make it feel more sensible to go with the Wormgod, since it does have a higher damage bonus. But it's still something that you have to put a great deal of focus behind to be able to maintain it and keep it at its max. And a big standout in my mind is the bonus in super damage that the Synthoceps provides. The Synthoceps provides a 50% increase to that super damage, whereas the Wormgod's does not. And if you find yourself against a raid or dungeon boss that's got a bunch of enemies all around, your damage potential will be much higher with the Synthoceps than it would be with the Wormgod. And you'll find yourself not having to run around like a headless chicken, trying to keep Burning Fists fully charged before each damage phase. So out of sheer ease of use, I say it is the Synthoceps that is the superior exotic for Titans to use, especially when it comes to dungeons and raids. But in saying that, it's only going to have a higher damage threshold when you have those enemies around you. Another variable that you have to account for is teammates, because without proper communication, teammates can really throw off the cadence of your buffs, your attack loops, and they'll grab your tangles. So try to set some boundaries before you get started. In closing, the Wormgod and Synthoceps are both absolute stalwart exotics, and both have a key advantage that they can provide to you. I've found myself to run the Synthoceps far more than the Wormgod, mainly due to the ease of use. But as I said earlier, it really boils down to your preferred playstyle and the activity that you're in. And with that said, I'd love to hear your thoughts about the Synthoceps, the Wormgod Caress, and Strand Titans in Season of the Wish. So let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian, just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran, just looking for a new home, then be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below, and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. If you do need help setting up a build with either of these exotics, you can make use of the Destiny item manager links that are in the description below. And I'll also drop the links for some detailed videos on both of those exotic builds. But until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.